Carl, do we have reason to be hopeful about the future, and what can the average person, I mean, I think a lot of average people have heard a lot about the environmental and nuclear threat, have been pounded in, and what can the average citizen do to affect changes on the part of our government to make the moves that are necessary?
They can make sure that candidates who don't understand and aren't deeply committed to stopping greenhouse warming and to stopping the depletion of the ozonosphere, that those guys aren't, men and women, are not elected. It's not enough to have a candidate say, I'm an environmentalist. In what way are you an environmentalist, Mr. or Ms. candidate? I mean, we're in very bad trouble if we don't understand the planet we're trying to save. People have to inform themselves. They have to understand these issues, and this then relates to the whole problem of Americans not understanding science. I mean, we've now, as I keep saying, made a preliminary reconnaissance of most of the worlds in the solar system. No sign of life. That suggests life doesn't come everywhere. Life isn't all that easy to arise. And it says something, therefore, about the rarity and preciousness of life on our planet. It's something that needs to be cherished, taken care of. So the flip side of not finding life elsewhere is a much greater respect for the life that's here. And here we are destroying an acre of forest every second on the planet, destroying species left and right, and imperiling even ourselves. It's, I think, a useful perspective to recognize that life isn't all that easy to come by. We have an obligation to preserve life on this planet, because we are parochial, we're provincial, we're stuck on one planet, we know only one kind of life, and so we don't know what else is possible. So there has to be a new way of looking at the future, and that is that we're all humans, members of the same species, on one fragile little planet. We're all in this together, and we have to work together. That's kind of the silver lining of these crises. They are forcing us to become a planetary species. There's a broad range of things that the average person can do, especially in a democracy where, you know, at least in principle, the people control what the government does. Government's supposed to be working for the people, not the other way around. I believe that the government has a responsibility to care for the people. I'm not talking about dole. I'm talking about making people self-reliant, people able to take care of themselves. There are a lot of other things a person can do. You can plant trees. Every individual can plant trees. That's something that's very constructive. You can boycott industries which are irresponsible on global warming and on chlorofluorocarbons. There are many things people can do, but they have to understand the issue before they can do those things. The next step, and this is something Thomas Jefferson repeatedly stressed, is that if you want to exercise your democratic privileges and powers, you have to understand the situation, and you have to understand it in a fairly deep way. You have to get beyond the rhetoric that politicians necessarily spread in order to calm everybody and to get reelected. So an educated populace is absolutely essential. What people can do is to learn the actual facts, to make sure that both sides of the issues are expressed, and that there's nothing, by the way, in these issues that the average person can't understand. Average person is plenty smart enough to understand these issues, and most of those cases, almost all of them, which the government said if you have the facts we have, then you'd reach a different conclusion, that turns out to be bunk. Beyond that, there are a lot of other things people can do. They can demonstrate. They can make mass rallies. There is an American tradition of nonviolent civil disobedience.
It worked, too.
It certainly worked.
It helped do away with segregation, and it helped do away with the Vietnam War.
That's right. And it seems to me that is very American.
We ought to be marching for the environment. And marching and continue to those courageous souls that have marched against nuclear testing and against SDI. And
absolutely. So, for example,
we've got to take our future in our own hands.
Absolutely agree. Now, let me say another couple of words on... let me say one thing. There is a historical perspective which suggests, as bad as our problems are, the nuclear arms race, the environmental issues, as bad as all that is, there is some reason for hope. There was once slavery on the planet. It is largely gone. There was once human sacrifice. There was once the divine right of kings. There was lots of stuff that today we
Oppression
consider
of women.
Absolutely. I'm sorry I didn't say that. But all of that is changing. And we can change these issues too, because our lives depend on it. We're smart enough, we're dedicated enough to do it, but not by sitting on our duffs. We have to really work.
Take action. Okay, well, Carl, we're out of time. It was a real pleasure to have you here.
Same here.